Buddy, it was your boy D from DNC Digital. I missed all you guys. I hope everybody's Thanksgiving went well. Hope everybody's doing good. Everybody's staying safe. I got something in my eye. I'm not sure what it is, but we are back on the road to Mission Pro Wrestling. Run it back, and I am very, very excited to be continuing to sponsor this amazing company and this awesome event. So we're going to talk to Miranda Gordy tonight. Miranda Gordy is already clearing her own path in the professional wrestling business. Hey, what's going on, Ryan? Hope all is well, buddy. And she has famous roots. Her father was one of the fabulous Freebirds, Terry Gordy. So we're going to be talking to her about her roots, about some cool things along the way, and about her career and how it's gone thus far. She is the SWE Fury Women's Champion, defending her title against Killer Kate, December 11th in Buda, Texas, or Buda. I'm not sure how to say it anymore. So it's a match I'm looking forward to, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation. And let's bring her in. Where is she? Hey, what's up, man? What's going on? Miss Miranda Gordy coming in. There we are.
Hi.
How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
How's everything?
Good. Good.
Good. Thanks a lot for giving us the time tonight. You're looking a little pixely. I just want to make sure.
You're good. It could possibly be me. I'm like out in the middle of nowhere. So it might be my reception. If it gets worse, let me know, and then I'll fix it. So.
Okay. All right. We're good. So first off, how was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was great. I wrestled. I say it was great. So I wrestled Dylan McQueen at USA Championship Wrestling at the Oman Arena in Jackson. And unfortunately, I lost my title that night to Dylan. But I plan on getting it back. So I had a good time wrestling, but I lost the title. So I guess, whatever you'd say about that. How was yours?
Miss Gordy, you have very famous roots. I know you probably get this in every interview. Your father was one of the fabulous Freebirds, Terry Gordy. Hey, you look much better now. Sidekick fanboy, what's going on, buddy? Thanks a lot. So we all know him as just being that badass in the Freebirds, like just a tall, curly hair coming out the cowboy hat. But I know that you have very fond memories of your dad. I know he was well known in Japan, and just a few months into your wrestling career, you already went to Japan. So can you tell me about that experience and how people received you being the daughter of such a legend?
I enjoyed myself in Japan, and I think it was very nostalgic for them. Obviously, they remember my dad really well. He was such a big deal over there. And so he created such a legacy over there, and they were kind enough to kind of pass it down to me, and they know that I'm on my path, like I'm following his footsteps, but I'm making my own way, and they received it so well. So they were super generous, and I hope to get back, honestly, because it was such an experience, like different culture, and just the fans are different, and I really like it over there.
Tell me about the transition, because it was so early in your wrestling career. It had to have not only been a culture shock in general, but in the wrestling world, it had to have been. Was it overwhelming at times, knowing already you're heading out to Japan with these different types of fans and different type of wrestling culture?
So yeah, I went this February, and I was probably 6 months in, if even that. So. Definitely not ready, like professionally, to go, but I wasn't going to say no. It wasn't overwhelming. Like I said, everybody was super generous and nice and helpful, because I don't speak Japanese. A lot of people spoke very good English, so they were kind enough to lead me, and we put matches together and stuff, and just show me around. And the style's not as different as it used to be. So it is a lot like, you know, in the States. It does have some differences, but I got through it, and I think I did well for, you know, where I was in my wrestling career, only being 6 months in.
Talking about your father, I saw in a few interviews that, you know, he was very quick to trade in his wrestling boots for some roller skates, and he used to take you and your sister out to the roller skating rink. Can you tell me about any of those experiences and what are your fondest memories of those nights at the roller skating rink?
I mean, you know, when he was home, when he could be home, he just did regular dad stuff, like take us to the skating rink, me and my younger sister, or a lot of times we just spent time at home because he didn't get to do that often. So, you know, we had a big swimming pool, and we'd go swimming often, or to the lake. At one point we had a boat, so we would go on a boat, you know, just normal family stuff when he could be home. Christmas was always really awesome. I think I said in the same interview that, like, after he won the WCW and NWA tag team titles, we had like the best Christmas ever. Like, you know, so you, with the titles, you get a bigger paycheck. And so I think that's one of the biggest memories I have, is just like, we had an endless amount of toys that Christmas. It was so much fun.
There's one really sweet story that I read, and I can relate to it because I have an 18-year-old. I have an 11-year-old daughter. She acts 18, but she's definitely 11. So my biggest fear as her father was teaching her how to ride a bike, because I sat her down and I told her, these training wheels have been there forever to take care of you. I'm taking them off, and now they're not going to be there. You're going to fall, you're going to scrape your knee, you're going to bleed, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to suck. But what matters is that you get back up, because as long as you get back up, nothing will stop you in life. And I always was scared of that one lesson. Can you tell me about your experience of your dad teaching you how to ride a bike? And do you feel like maybe there's a parallel to what I felt with my daughter?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly my how my dad was. I remember that going to his house, and the older kids were all riding bikes without training wheels. And, you know, I was like, oh, I want to do this so bad, because he had a bike and we had smaller bikes. And so, you know, to keep up with him, we couldn't have training wheels. And so his yard was a bit of a hill. And he's like, well, you're going to learn today. So, you know, he threw me at the and training wheels. And I went down and I had to pedal, and I got it from then. Like, that's how he's like, okay, you're going to do this. And he was right. I did it. So that's one way, right?
Definitely. It sounds like something I would say as a father to a girl, because he was such a tough guy. I'm assuming that he just wanted to raise you a tough way. Another question I had about carrying such a famous last name in the wrestling business can bring so much pressure. Can you tell me about your decision to carry that name? Because there are a lot of second, third generation wrestlers that decide, I kind of want to do my own thing. Maybe people will know that I'm this guy's son or this guy's daughter. And, you know, they make the decision to carry a different name. So can you tell me about your decision to carry the Gordy name? And can you tell me also about the pros and cons of being a second generation wrestler?
Well, I think, you know, my last name was the whole reason I got into the business. You know, some people are fans, and not that I'm not a fan. I didn't get into it because I'm a fan. I got into it because of my last name. And I think that really the route for me was to use my last name. And it's gotten me, you know, it's opened a lot of doors for me. It's gotten me opportunities like Japan, really on in my career. And so I've gone and done things that people, you know, 5 or 6 years in the business haven't even done. So I think that it was wise on my part to use my name for that reason. Along with that is, you know, people think that I was just born a wrestler. Sometimes, you know, they just automatically assume, like, well, you know, as a toddler, your dad totally taught you how to suplex, you know? So, you know, stuff like that. And not really, no one's ever said that. But, you know, they just have these high expectations that,
Right.
like, he, taught me this stuff, and I guess, and it's not their fault. They just don't realize he passed when I was kind of young. I was 11. And, even though he passed, I have, I've had Michael Hayes and my brother, who are, obviously, part of the WWE and stuff, and wrestlers and all that. So I've continued to kind of stay with the business. Not that I could get away from it, but, as far as that, and other cons besides being, held, to a high standard is, sometimes it feels like people want to put my dad first, like, oh, you're Terry Gordy's daughter, not you're Miranda Gordy, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So maybe one day I'll escape that. I'll do the Charlotte Flair thing. Like, she's like top of the list for me. So, I mean, for now, I obviously don't mind. Hopefully, one day I hope to break out of that.
No, I hope you do, and you've already shown such prowess in the ring that you're already coming into your own. When you're growing up, I trained in wrestling for about a year or a year and a half, so I learned how to take a bump or two, and I learned a few ins and outs of the business. So one thing that I always loved about the business is this brotherhood, this family dynamic in the locker room, that even when you guys are arguing or on different sides of a certain issue, there is like a family feeling when it comes to the business. So can you tell me, like, how it is to have all these crazy uncles in the business? And when I talk about crazy uncles, I talk about, obviously Michael Hayes, but along with all the other wrestlers that your father has worked with that came over for dinner or the barbecues or sent you something for Christmas. What was that like growing up and all these famous friends of your father?
Well, growing up, I just thought it was normal. Obviously, as a kid, you have like people that you see on TV just over at the house. Like, I tell them all the time, like, one 4th of July, we went out to Joe's Crab Shack with Chris Benoit, and he was like the nicest guy ever. And I'm like, that guy looks familiar. And Mom was like, well, yeah, you see him on TV all the time, that type of thing. And, the Undertaker, obviously Michael, Paul Bearer was real big. Like, just, and they look different, when you see them on TV as opposed to seeing real life, they look kind of like normal people without, all the gear and stuff on. So it wasn't anything to me. I didn't think about it, story. I don't know if I've started an interview yet. For high school, I had to do like a big thing, like this long, like you could study it. Like one person did skydive, and they actually went skydiving and stuff, and I did the WWE. And I got to interview Ric Flair, John Cena, McMahon, who else? Oh, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. And like, that's just like, not like, oh, of course I can do that, so obviously other people can't, which I totally didn't realize until now that that's a big deal. So that's what that was like. I guess to me, it's just, they've just always been there. And I'm sorry to be super grateful for all this and supporting me because of how my dad treated them. I guess because he was such a big influence, or little stories. I met up with Mick Foley last spring, and he was telling me about the first time he was with my dad in Japan, and my dad gave him headphones that he still has, and like he just cherished that forever.
Oh, that's so cool.
And, right, and little stuff like that. And Nick was like super supportive. He's like, if you ever need anything, let me know. And he tweeted out for me and stuff like that. And so like little stuff like that is super encouraging with my career, because they're just like, your dad was so good to us, and we want to return the favor back. So I'm really enjoying that part of it.
There's so many fans that know your father as one man, and it's so cool hearing all those stories that the men within the business knew him and what kind of a man he was, to the point that they want to take care of you and make sure that you're doing okay in your career. The last thing I do want to ask about, you know, growing up in the business, is there a certain kinship between all second generation and third generation wrestlers? You know, from knowing what it was like growing up, that your dad or your parents weren't around because they were on the road so much, is there a certain mutual understanding between all of you?
You know, all the ones that I've met, I kind of just like, we all kind of gravitated toward each other. Like, we know, like a silent understanding, I think. Just we're second gens. We know the pros and cons. And, you know, especially the ones whose dad or mom has passed early, you just kind of know, you know, like, this is what we've had to go through. Some have had it worse than others. And I've never really talked about it, but you just have that instant vibe with them. Because, you know, it's a rare thing to go through, to have, I mean, not only have a wrestling parent, but to have one like pass on very early. And so you just, you know, that's your thing. Like, someone understands you finally, you know, so it's just like a sign of respect or mutual feeling, you know.
One thing I enjoy, one thing I really enjoy about watching all the ceremonies of Hall of Fame is watching whatever Michael Hayes has decided to wear that night. Throughout your entire memory, has he always been a crazy, snazzy dresser the way he is?
Always. Michael Hayes, as I always say, isn't just a gimmick. It's a way of life. Like, he's literally Michael Hayes. Like, it's like when the cameras are, you know, shut off. He is that way 24/7, probably his whole life, at least the 30 years that I've known him. Like, just goofy, you know, just over the top, like, dresses, crazy. No, outside of business, it's a little more normal, but still not really, like, normal for his standards, I guess. But
right.
He's still, you know, still flashy, is all good. Yeah.
I want to talk about you deciding to enter the business. I read that you decided to just manage a few people and be a valet, just to get a feel for what it was like to be in front of the crowd. What bug bitched you that you decided to go into the ring as a competitor rather than just stay as a manager?
Well, so, you know, I thought that I might want to train. And so I had a friend be like, why don't you just manage me just to see if you even like it, you know? And I'm like, that works. You know, I might hate it, you know? And I didn't. I loved it. They finally gave me a spot where I got to punch somebody. And, like, it was at UNT, right? It was at UNT, which is the college in Denton, the big stadium. Like, the Von Erichs were there, Tatanka, who else? Lance Hoyt. There was just, like, you know, this all-star cast, or not cast, but roster of people. And I was managing Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I'm trying to think of who else in the match, right? And Alpharot, I got to, there was a spot at the end, I got to punch him, and right then, you know, the crowd popped up. I'm like, I want to punch everyone. So, right, like, I just want to, like, like, that was like, oh, this is so awesome. So, I actually, like, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I called the guy that I was managing, and like, okay, so when are we starting training? Because I want to do this all the time. I like, you know, I want to beat everyone up now. So that's how it kind of got started. And a couple weeks later, I was in training.
That's awesome. Can you tell me about your connection to Ember Moon? I know Ember Moon had a career-threatening injury with the Achilles heel, and thankfully she came back, and she looks great. She's back in NXT, where I think she probably, as a fan, speaking as a fan, I think she looks a lot more comfortable. And NXT has a much more, you know, passionate fan base where her stuff will definitely be appreciated. Not saying anything about the main roster, but, you know, she looks like she's having a great time. Thankfully, she's back. Can you tell me about your connection to Ember Moon?
She was the head trainer at the dojo. The dojo, actually, I'm like rocking them right now. And
Nice.
Denton, who it's ran by Knight Davis, who has been my main trainer through everything. And Ember Moon came in like fall of 2019, and I worked with her for about 4 or 5 months. Her and her husband Matt Palmer, and you know, she helped me like with my work and get ready for Japan and stuff. And you know, she's a really great trainer. And I think, you know, you're talking about how well, like how comfortable she looks in NXT, and I think that that's a really good place for her because she has so much wrestling knowledge that like she can help all the people there, you know, because they're just getting started basically with this big WWE career. So I think that she can help advance a lot of people because of her wrestling knowledge. So I think that's a great place for her. She does look good. She looks so good right now. I've been keeping up with her.
She looks great. She looks great.
Yeah, she looks really, really good. From coming back from an injury. So I haven't talked to her, you know, since the whole COVID stuff started. But I hope she's doing really, really well right now. She looks like she's doing well.
I have two names here that I wrote down after doing some research for you, and I want you to tell me how instrumental they were to your career. I have Tom Howard and Craig Kesselman. Can you tell me what role they played in your training?
So Tom Howard helped when I was first getting started. Him and his wife Teresa, who actually just had a WWE tryout. She goes by Lacey Ryan. It's Teresa Serrano. Her and Tom Howard actually helped Knight get me started, like with the basics and stuff. Tom has had like a...
Yeah, Lacey Ryan was at the last Mission Pro Wrestling show, and she's going to be competing for the Mission Pro Wrestling Championship.
Yes, that one. So I'm super excited to see her because she moved a little over a year ago to like the Las Vegas area. So her and Tom helped get me started. Like I was saying, Tom's had an amazing career. He's done a lot of really awesome stuff, and he's like the nicest guy. Him and Teresa are super nice, and so they were generous enough to come in, and you know, because they love the business so much, they invested time in me and helped me get started. And as far as Craig Kesselman, that is my boyfriend. He goes by Niles Plonk. And that's actually, I'm at his place right now. And he is like a 21-year vet. And he's like one of the best around, I think. And he helps me every day. So as much as he can, as much as I'll listen to him, you know, as much as you'll listen to your significant other in training. And he helps me because he's just a solid worker, and I appreciate all that he's done because I guess since, you know, ever since the pandemic started, he's really the, you know, the only training that I've had. So that's, I appreciate what he's helped me with so far.
At the last show, I also do graphic design on the side. So I decided to make a poster for all the ladies, you know, just to go out there and, you know, like, hey, I'm gonna send you a digital copy, and if you don't mind signing this for me, you know. So I gave Lacey hers, and so we didn't have any place to sign, so I gave her my shoulder. And as she was signing it, I told her, I was like, hey, I read about you today. She's like, you read about me? I was like, yeah. How did it go? And I was referring to her tryout. And she's like, how did you know about the tryout? I'm like, I read it right here. I pulled up a Dirt Sheet website that I like to read, and I showed her the link. She's like, I only told like 2 people. And I was like, well, you got somebody inside, you know, with a big mouth, you know. And then she went off and she looked it up herself. And I'm like, I won't tell anybody if you don't want me to. She's like, no, it's out there. It's already out there. But Lacey Ryan is a crazy talented woman with one of the sickest finishers to see live. It's a pump handle into a knee straight to your face, and it was just it takes 2 to tango. I know that, but it was just one of the coolest finishers that I've seen live. So I also want to talk about Jerry Lawler's 50th anniversary event, where you got to wrestle Thunder Rosa, who is boss lady when it comes to this event. Can you talk about her tenacity and what she is doing for the business and women in wrestling?
So I love some Thunder Rosa. Even before, like, she got like super huge, it seemed like overnight. Like I've always thought she was really good and charismatic and like a super awesome human being, first off. But right now she is just like the queen of wrestling, and she's such an inspiration. And being the queen, like, just really respectful and kind. And like I really love that she's got all these little projects, and she's like just constantly, coming up with really, really awesome things as far as women's wrestling. And I hope that this like really, really empowers women and sets a really, really good stage for them. So I respect the hell out of her a lot for starting a company and just like really like pushing the whole women's empowerment movement.
Her work ethic has inspired me.
Yeah.
Standing next to her when I met her, I was looking at her and how in shape she is, and I'm looking at myself like, yeah, I should probably go to the gym. I want to talk about people have their feelings about the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm a big fan of it. Yeah, everybody has their opinion, and that's fine. But you were fortunate enough to be there the night that your father was inducted as part of the fabulous Freebirds, and so poetically going down in Dallas, Texas. You say you carry his Hall of Fame ring around you every day. What does that ring mean to you? And does it validate all of his hard work that you saw him do?
I think that, I'm super proud, and obviously it's well-deserved for the Freebirds to go into the Hall of Fame, because they were they made so much wrestling history. They set so many high standards, as far as a ring, the sentimental value, yes. I think that the right person with all the wrestling knowledge, like this would be a question for my brother. It would be endless. There's so many things like as far as Japan that people in the States don't even know about or recognize. And just here, like he did so many things that you could never really encapsulate it into just a ring or a Hall of Fame, it's going to be something that I'll just continue to learn about in my career. And if I'm lucky enough that people will tell me all the things he did for wrestling, that's not on TV, that's not caught on camera and stuff. And so it's really, really awesome that I have the Hall of Fame ring, but I just don't, what can you put in a ring? You can't put all your accomplishments in a ring. So it's like a bittersweet thing. Okay. Sorry, my light went off. So
is that what was maybe one of the most surprising things that you learned about your father through the stories of his buddies as you were growing up?
I mean, really, all of them as a whole. Just how he really all of them. And it's little stuff like I can sit here and tell, he gave the headphones to Mick Foley, and it's just like those are little pieces that in the grand scheme of things don't really mean anything, but they mean something to me because something like that touched such an awesome person, because Mick is so awesome. Just little stuff like that, like because he passed when I was so young. I didn't get to spend a lot, and obviously I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. So every little story that I get just means like the world to me. Little stuff. And I was very blessed to be able to work with Animal from the Road Warriors recently at SWE.
My God.
And yes, I know. And it broke my heart because he would tell me stories of like their time touring in Japan or over here. And it's just like, I can't hold on to that. I don't get to hear that. And that really broke my heart for Animal to pass. And he was like a cool wrestling uncle. Like he was becoming a family member to SWE. And, it's just stuff like that I love and I cherish everything like that because it's the closest thing I can get to learning about my dad besides actually having him here, you know?
Yeah, I don't want both of us to get so worked up. You know, it's just, I'm a father to a daughter, and just to hear the way you speak about them, I would hope, I can only hope that my kid can talk about me when I'm gone. One of the most beautiful tributes I saw for Animal was one of the silliest things I've seen, but it was just so beautiful because somebody put all these action figures in the ring, and all those action figures were wrestlers who have passed. And you got Hawk holding the ropes for Animal, and Animal standing outside. And I just cried looking at that thing. And and then I showed my girlfriend. I'm like, this is silly, but I want you to see this. And she got choked up. And I was like, you don't understand what these men mean to some people while they're growing up. You know, for me, I can only say, from my opinion, I didn't have a dad growing up, so seeing all these giants of men, you know, being cheered and being booed, and like you just get a sense of somebody there for you, and you know, somebody to cheer for, and it's just a beautiful thing. I congratulate you on all your success, and you know, I can only say as a dad that he's got to be like just amazingly proud of you. Let's change gears into something a little more fun and less you know, teary-eyed and stuff like that. So we have something in common. We have a favorite TV show growing up. So I want to ask you this because I felt the same way. Did you go for Joxer the Mighty and Gabrielle to be a couple in Xena the Warrior Princess?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I love Xena. So, you know, as a kid, the Attitude Era, you had China, who was like the badass, you know, on WWE, and then you switch over to like I had 3 shows: Xena, and then Walker Texas Ranger, and then Dr. Quinn. And we won't talk about Walker right now because he's a guy, but Dr. Quinn and Xena and China, like those girls, you know. And so that all those were just big inspirations as a, you know, little girl in the 90s. Just women doing really awesome stuff, and man, I love Xena. I would jump off the couch and like hit my sister and like do the little scream that she does. I can't do it anymore, but I would try. And so I always made my sister be Gabrielle because her middle name is actually Gabrielle. So
oh, hey, okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, you have to be her, and I have to be her. So
I don't know if you remember the Joxer the Mighty song that he used to sing. Do you remember it?
Yes,
as
soon as
I do,
the Mighty,
he's very something. Goes through the countryside, never needs a place to hide. And then he goes, what? He's like, Gabby as her sidekick fighting with her little stick. Do you remember all that?
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's wow.
Yeah, I do my research on you, young lady. I want to make sure we have a great interview, and
I'm impressed, honestly. Like,
is that the first time anybody's ever asked you about Xena?
Yeah, I mean, besides me just telling them that I loved Xena, and like, yeah. So
okay, so I saw that last week. A really rare Pokemon card sold for like $500,000. What's the rarest Pokemon card that you have?
Oh, I don't know. I have like a rainbow one somewhere. Like I looked it up, and it was worth like $200-300. It's like a tag team rainbow. I can't remember what it is, but I don't. Man, I had Pokemon cards as a kid, and I'm like, I don't like this because I'm not good at it. And you know, the pandemic started, and we got stuck inside. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna try Pokemon again. It was either that or Dungeons and Dragons. And so my boyfriend and I and my daughter and like we went to Target and like got all these decks, and like I'm getting really good at it. So and I play Pokemon Go, and so like we've made these really awesome decks. One really, really awesome Pokemon is called Stone Joiner, and he does like 300 damage. on like every hit, you know, once you build him up, and then like then you win the game so easy. So I think
have you been teaching your daughter how to play Pokemon?
yeah, she's not like you know
Okay.
technology, you know.
So when you guys decide to play, do you go easy on her, or is it just no mercy?
No, I help her, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, if she gets knocked out, I'm like, well, you got to get better. You just got to do better next time.
I give my daughter one free one, and then it's just no mercy from there. I'm like, you got to learn how to lose. You got to learn how to lose and get competitive.
Exactly.
So one thing, this is gonna sound strange, but I love that this came up, and I want to ask you, what was it like catching crabs in Alabama?
I want to do that again. That's so funny. Again, golf my whole life. That was the first time I ever caught crabs at the beach. So it was a lot of fun. We also messed around with alligators. Like they have alligators in lagoons and stuff, and so you know,
wow.
kind of yeah, right. We got some raw chicken, and you can catch the crabs with the chicken. But we also like once we realized that there were alligators there too, we used the chicken, and we were like reel it in just so we could see the head. We were trying to get
terrible. I can't believe it. I would not mess around with that. No, hell no. And you're very much an outdoorsy girl. Can you tell me how? Can you tell me what a day is like on the farm? Because I'm a city boy. I came from Jersey, so you know I wake up to the sound of buses and taxi, you know, honking their horns. Tell me what it's like. What time do you wake up? What's your first job to do? What's a day on the farm like?
Well, so I had a ranch. I'm on a farm, but I don't have any farm responsibilities now besides my horse. Before wrestling, I actually I had a ranch and we rescued horses. And I had chickens and rabbits and a dog and everything. And so I'd have to wake up early, feed everything. We had like 7 horses, and horses are like 1,200 pound toddlers. And so basically, right.
I've never ever heard it like that.
They really are. Like, they're just kind of temperamental sometimes, and they like fight over food. And like, just imagine like a 4-year-old that can't talk back, but could definitely kick you, and always hungry. So that's kind of how they are. And it's the same with chickens. Chickens are like tiny raptors, basically. Like, if you watch them run, you instantly think like the raptors on Jurassic Park, like the way that they jump on stuff and like make the noises.
Nice.
Yeah, and I had rabbits. I had 2 rabbits in a big enclosure. Getting up early, like 5 a.m., working out, feeding all the animals, going to work, and coming back and doing it all over again. I was constantly busy. So farm work is very hard work. It's definitely it's a respectable job, because without farmers, you know, we wouldn't have food. So, or, you know,
yeah, of course.
Different farms and ranches for different things, food, they take care of horses, you know, everything. It's definitely like a very, very needed and respectable job. So they work really hard. I don't right now, though. I don't. I have my 1 horse, and I'm good with that, because I'm on the road too much for animals. Really, I have my cats and my horse, and that's it.
Ryan said it best. I'll never forget those 2 quotes. Horses are 1,200 pound toddlers, and chickens are like tiny raptors. I'll never ever. Those are 2 sentences I never thought I would ever hear put together. So let's talk about Mission Pro Wrestling. We've gone over your career. We've gone over all the awesome stories about your father. You are defending your championship against Killer Kate, who is the submission-savvy strategist, and she is no joke either. So I'm sure it's going to be an awesome match. What do you feel Mission Pro Wrestling is doing now for women in wrestling, and what do you think that what do you think they'll be doing for women in the future?
Well, I think, Thunder Rosa had a genius idea. She's using her platform to raise other women up. And I think that's what Mission Pro is doing right now. Thunder Rosa is on top of the world, and she's generous enough to set a stage for, people like me and all the other women that are part of it. And, people like Kill It Kate and stuff. And so I think that in the future, a lot of people are for now, they're going to watch these matches and they're going to watch the shows, and it's going to put other people's names out. And I think that's super gracious of Thunder Rosa to do that, because, people just take their notoriety and just use it for themselves, but she's using it for other people. And I think that's really cool. As far as my match with Kill It Kate, I know Kill It Kate well, and I've faced her many times, and she's yet to beat me, but she is a very, very good technical wrestler, and she is definitely a threat at all times. So it'll be an intense match because it is for the championship, a really, really big title. So I think it's going to be a really, really competitive match.
I saw a cool picture of Jazz raising your hand. She is the head trainer, agent, producer of this promotion. Can you tell me your feelings about Jazz?
I love Jazz. Jazz is the greatest women's wrestler ever, in my opinion. I think that, as a wrestler, she's the greatest. As a human being, she is kind, and she wants to pass her knowledge off. And, I had no idea. Obviously, Jazz has come out of retirement. I had no idea that, that was going to be, I guess, Jazz's last maybe single match now, until she did the interview afterwards. And so I was pretty honored to have that. But I respect the hell out of Jazz, because that's really, she's at the point of her career, and like any good vet does, they pass along the knowledge. And I think that just all around, Jazz is so wonderful.
Here's a cool question to end with. The first line of Freebird by Leonard Skinner is, "If I leave here tomorrow, will you still remember me?" How do you want people to remember Miranda Gordy?
Hey, you can remember me as a free bird.
Nice.
This bird you cannot change. That's one of the lines too. I actually have I have the lyrics tattooed on my wrist.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, I really do. I got it from my dad, when he passed, but when I was 18, of course. But I think it's a way of life. The free bird, you make the rules. You can't be changed. You're free, basically. And I think that if anything in life, I think that's how I want to be remembered. That's how my dad was remembered. He made his own way, and I want to make my own way, and you can't change that.
That's actually, I decided a long, long time ago, that's actually the song that I want played at my funeral.
Nice.
And I told my girlfriend, too, I was like, I'm going to put it in a will that I want this playlist played throughout my entire funeral. And then, like, in the middle, like, out of nowhere, I just want Peanut Butter Jelly Time to play. And I want people to, like, it's going to be a somber mood. I want people to kind of look up and just go, like, what is that? And I want my girlfriend to have to go, he wanted it that way. I don't know. He wanted it.
You gotta leave the little stuff for your relatives to, like, be like, he wanted this.
Yeah. Miranda, where can they find you on social media?
Keep it simple. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, all under Miranda Gordy. You can find me on all of that. Bookings, just to talk to me or look at pictures, whatever.
Awesome. This will be on YouTube also right after this is done. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. This is D. You can find me at DNC Digital at Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you're following Miranda, hit my name right there and follow me. And if you're following me and you don't follow Miranda, hit her name and follow her. SWE Fury Women's Champion. We also have to shout out SWE Fury because they're the promotion also sponsoring Mission Pro Wrestling. Run it back December 11th, Buda, Texas at Pinball's Kingdom. Everybody have a great night and take care of yourselves.
Thank you.